Okay, well, hey gang, we're gonna try something here. I spent some time working with some walnuts, and you've seen a bunch of walnut videos, and I said I'm done with walnuts, but I realized as I was finishing up, getting ready to hang these out to dry, that this is one thing that I did not see anybody else do online. And so I decided that I was going to take a bag apart and show you hands-on what I've done and what appears to be working really pretty well. And I certainly don't think, if anybody's planning on doing walnuts, or if in the future you're looking for something in terms of fat and protein and calories for your livestock, your birds, yourself, and if you're in the southeast, black walnuts are everywhere. You can use them for a variety of things. They're really pretty handy, and not going to cost anybody anything. So the reason I'm doing walnuts right now, and that I got that garden weasel, is because there may come a time in the future when I need a lot more calories than that I'm able to grow in my little garden. And I've got black walnut trees that are right here on my property within 100 feet or two. So I ordered these little bags online. This is just an old Rubbermaid Tupperware style bowl. I used this because I had it. It's damaged, but it's about the right size, and it's got this nice little lip. Now, I'm not going to go back and totally redo everything, but basically, once you get the walnuts out and you set them out in a basket and you let them kind of dry a little bit, then the next thing you want to do is you want to hang them and let them air dry. These mesh bags can be kind of a horse's patoot to work with, but I'm going to use my feet like it's my hands. If you take it and you loop it over the top like that and slide it down, and you got this little lip, and even when this bag is new and, hi Miss Lucy, are you supervising? Is new and real tight, when you take a handful of walnuts in there and drop them in, it's going to hold down far enough, and you can either have it sit on the mesh, go all the way down so it sits on it, or kind of have one hand on the side and just kind of sort of hold it in place. The details are going to vary a little bit in terms of what you're actually working with, but this is what I'm actually working with. So then I figured, okay, people were complaining about these little hooky-dooky things coming loose after 3 weeks. So what I want to show you is what I've done. Now I can't tell you it's going to hold up for 3 weeks because they haven't been hanging for 3 weeks. Hi, sweetie. But what I can tell you is a couple of things that I've done that I'm very confident that's going to be in the right direction. Number one, rather than taking this and spinning it like that, I found that made it difficult to work with. So what I found worked a whole lot better for the process is just take the tip at the end here where my fingers are and roll it between my fingers. What that does is it gives you the kind of a cord, but it's not all twisted on itself like it would be if you did it the other way. Believe me, I know. Ask me how I know, because I did it that way the first few times, and it was difficult to work with. Now, what I'm going to show you now is what they call a figure 8 knot. They use it a lot in sailing. It's basically an overhand knot with an extra side twist. So if you do an overhand knot, you just go through and come in. But with a figure 8 knot, you go through and you twist the loop one more half time, and then you bring the cord through. Now, I will admit I have an advantage because I do have fingernails, and when you're working with this mesh stuff, that comes in handy. See how that looks like a figure 8? Why do I use the figure 8? Because no matter how tight you pull it, unlike an overhand knot, no matter how tight you pull this and how long it hangs and it tightens down on itself, once it's loose again and you don't have weight on it, you can work this end and you can work this end and you can get it loose. And you can get it loose without tearing up the bag. So if you don't want to have to replace your bags every time, or you can't get them anymore, that's one reason why I did the figure 8. The other was to keep these kind of contained, but still give them wiggle around room, number 2. And then I wanted to tie a knot at this end to keep this as kind of a cord. The idea was, I heard people saying that the hook at the top kept coming undone. But if this is all a cord, even if it comes undone at the top, this is going to keep your walnuts contained, number 1. And number 2, part of the thought process was, if I've got this hooked over the bottom of this as a cord, it's going to be less likely to come undone. So, all I've done is you can either, loop it through that way, or what I prefer to do is do it this way, because then I'm not messing with the fibers on the end, and they can stay pretty straight and not messed up. And then on this end, I do just tie an overhand knot. So with this all as a cord like that, you can just let this go. You can just reach through, grab the end, and now you've got an overhand knot. You've got this looped on it, and you can just pull this knot up to the top. And while you're doing that, it's a little hard to do it from here where I can't see quite as well, but you can see how I've got the bottom of the hooky-doo. I know, I have such a sophisticated language. I'm such a big shot. And you can pull that in and kind of pull that tight and hook that end. And so what you're doing is you're hooking this whole batch of fibers over that little spear that sticks up. You just don't have a few fibers, so it's not going to tear over time. And then what I've done is I'll take this part and push it down. Well, it's real hard to get it hooked, so I just grabbed me a pair of pliers. I hope you can see this good, because I can't see you. And then I can just work it back and forth. And you can feel it, and you can hear it, and you can see it when it gets hooked. Now, with my bags and with my knot set up, the best I can usually do is 2 hooks exposed on one side and 1 hook exposed on the other. That's just kind of the way it's come out. And so that's what I've got set up for my hooks. I tried a couple of other things. Usually I try and get the knot inside the plastic a little bit to get the plastic to go around the outside of it. Sometimes what that'll do is that'll help keep this overhand knot from coming loose. If you've got it so that the bottom of the overhead hand knot is kind of tucked in here, kind of wedged in here and worked in like that, that'll help hold it snug. And so by not twisting it the other way and just twisting it from the top, now this is not all twisted up, it's not all deformed and nastied. This knot will be real easy to untie, and this knot is at the top, and that overhand knot should be fairly easy to undo, but if not, you can cut it and only lose an inch or so off the top of the bag. What I'm planning on doing is I've got a storage trailer over here. I've got 2x4s that I had put on the inside. I'm just going to put some 3/4 inch or inch long screws, deck screws, and I'm just going to hook this over the edge of the deck screw and let it stay in the semi. The semi is insulated. It's somewhat temperature controlled. It's got a dehumidifier in there, and I've got a fan in there, so it's protected from pests. It's protected from the weather. It's got climate control. It's got some heat. I don't need to keep it warm, but and that's also where I've got my Grandpa's Goody Getter. That Grandpa's Goody Getter is an awesome nutcracker, and you can go online and see a number of videos on that. I've had it for several years. I did a batch of walnuts several years ago. Was real pleased with how that worked. My system for cleaning the nuts didn't work out too well. I was trying to use my pressure washer. The second time I tried to do it, I couldn't get my pressure washer to start or to run. So I just kind of gave up on it, and then I've been kind of under the weather for the last couple of years with my knee surgery. So I've only been doing exactly what I needed to. Now, if you look at these nuts, they're not super duper clean. These are ones that I cleaned using the 1/2 inch slow low speed drill and that square paddle. Most of these were cleaned with the square paddle. As you can see here, this one didn't get quite as cleaned. That too is kind of an experiment on my part. You can see the ridges on all of these. There is some dust and some dirt that's still coming off of them, but with the air movement that I've got inside the semi and the control that I have, I'm keeping that humidity. I think it's about 40% in there. So that's the environment I've chosen to use because it's about the only place I can do that on my place. So with that, gang, I will wish you blessings for the day, and whatever you do, keep chasing your dream. But I think this is going to be just about as good as anything. If these hooks don't work real well, I may have to come up with something else, but I have a feeling between the knot, filling the bottom of this up and kind of keeping that tight, having it hooked over all of these threads on the pin in the middle, and pulling it through and getting it stopped on at least 2. Most of the hooks I've got on most of my bags were 1 hook on one side and 2 hooks on the other. Now I wasn't too sophisticated in terms of counting or weighing or anything. I just grabbed 7 handfuls. I ended up filling up a box that had been used for transporting 40 pounds of Alaskan fish. So each one of these probably weighs at least 1, maybe 2 pounds. And I think I've got 30 or 40 bags. from the walnuts that I've processed this year. So hopefully that'll last me at least 1 year, maybe 2. And basically the only thing I've got left to do is get my little cordless drill and a bunch of deck screws and hang this up on the screw and come in about 3 weeks, take a bag down, take a couple nuts out, test them to make sure they're the proper dryness. Now, how are you going to know they're the proper dryness? Well, when the nuts are too fresh, they virtually kind of explode. So when you've got like the Grandpa's Goody Getter, you put your fingers around the nut and then you pull the ram down and it comes down and it cracks the walnut. It's a pretty cool little deal. And you will find that you'll develop a feel for that. Now, if you're just going to hit them with a hammer or use some other kind of a nut cracking technique, I'm not really going to be able to help you with that. But I will tell you there's probably nothing better than the Grandpa's Goody Getter for black walnuts to get big pieces out. So it's as efficient as possible. I forget the name of the guy online that I watched. And that's what he did. He used the Grandpa's Goody Getter to break these up and break them into the big pieces. And then he would sift them through. He'd sift them through, if I'm thinking correctly, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/8 inch screens. And he left the shells and the nut meat together, except for the big ones when you could pick it out quickly, because they have a different density. One would sink and one would float, and it was a great way of getting rid of a lot of the nut, the hull away from the nut itself without having to do a lot of hand sorting. So I'd encourage you to go online and just look up black walnut processing or hulling, and I'm sure his video will come right up. So with that, gang, I'm going to finish this job, hopefully once and for all as far as the processing is concerned, before I start getting to the meat and the nuts of the matter. So with that, gang, I'll wish you blessings for the day, and whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream.